Americans think that they are the entire world. America's always had this kind of superiority complex where they just think they're better than everybody else, don't they? And nothing quite encapsulates that the way that sports do. Obviously, this weekend was the Super Bowl. I'll touch on that in a second, but it brings up this important point that I've discussed in the past. Loads of people have probably thought about it, but this whole thing of being world champions, like the winner of the Super Bowl is the world champion, like not really. In every other sport, the world champion is either a country or an individual or like a duo. Like, so sometimes you might have a doubles team, for example, there in tennis. But usually that's what a world champion is. So like, for example, in boxing, Mike Tyson was the world champion, just one person. In football, it's currently Argentina's the world champion. You know, the World Cup's coming up this summer. There'll be another country that takes it over. Leave it to the Americans to give world champion to a different business every year. And obviously I'm talking about it's a different sports teams are businesses. And they think, yeah, because we're the best in the world at this, that it's a world champion thing. When it's only you guys who play it. It's only Americans who play it, and you realise that, okay, you can't call Americans world champions at American football. So let's just call the winner of the league every year the world champion. It's such a ridiculous statement. They do it in everything. They do it in ice hockey, basketball. My favourite is when they did it in baseball. They do it in baseball, right? They call it the World Series. It's the World Series, even though it's only for teams in America. Maybe one or two Canadian teams. I know Toronto have one that play in the big dome there in Toronto. But besides that, it's all American teams. It's definitely all North American, right? However, Japan plays baseball. There's a team that plays in the Tokyo Dome in Japan, a massive, massive venue for sports. Yet Americans have this kind of ignorance and arrogance to call themselves world champions. We're world champions. However, they did actually like a kind of a World Cup competition a few years ago. And Japan won it. Japan won the World Cup of like baseball. They called it something else like the World Classic or something. Obviously, World Cup's not good enough. They need to give it its own American name. And when they gave it its own American name, Japan won. Anyway, they still carry it on. And obviously, this weekend was the Super Bowl. I watch the first half of the Super Bowl every year. A few years I've stayed up to watch it. As I get older, especially, I'm not really bothering as much. And who did we have? It was the New England Patriots versus the Sea Pigeons or something. It's the Seahawks. That's who it was. Seattle Seahawks. I'm assuming they're from Seattle Seahawks. So that was the game, right? And it's an interesting thing to watch as an English person because don't get me wrong, I am actually into all sports. I love sports so much. I've been to see multiple American football games. I'll go there and I will enjoy it when I go and watch it. But they gamify every single, and they like capitalize on every single little bit of the show. So for example, I googled it beforehand because I wanted to watch the game. I didn't really want to watch any of the pre-game build-up because there's so much build-up in the game itself when it breaks down that you're seeing all the talking bits and stuff like that. So okay, Google it. When does it start? 11:30. Okay, it starts at 11:30. I'll turn my TV on. 11:25. Get the last couple minutes of build-up. Maybe the predictions from the team who were on the cast, and it was Dermot O'Leary. Shout out to Dermot O'Leary, like one of my Instagram reels recently. Sam Quek, ice hockey gold medalist at the Olympics, and then two American football players who I'm not familiar with because I'm not an expert on the game like that to know every retired player. Anyway, they're talking there on the thing. And then they go, right, let's go down to the pitch where we're going to do the coin toss. And I'm thinking, coin toss? It's supposed to start at 11:30. It was about 11:34. They did the coin toss. And I'm thinking, wait a second. This wouldn't happen in England where like you'd turn on at like 8 o'clock for an 8 o'clock game and they're just doing the coin toss. Because the coin toss is just the start of a process. For example, like they had like this whole process of like, oh, here's this girl from such and such a thing, this guy from such and such a thing, this former player over there, this governor, this commissioner, and all these different roles that they're going through. They talk through them and they introduce them to everyone in the stadium. If I'm in that stadium, I've paid apparently 20 grand a ticket for a lot of the tickets in that stadium. And I'm going, I do not care who John Johnson is, and he's the commissioner of the Minnesota Butterflies, and they're the first ever team to win a golden egg in the World Championships. I don't care, right? I don't care about that stuff. Let me see the game. Let me see the excitement of the sport itself. They're going through all this nonsense, right? Do the coin toss, call it in the air, all that stuff. Boom, I call heads. This team wins, this team doesn't. New England Patriots won. And then this was an interesting point. They chose not to have the ball because typically the team who doesn't have the ball first wins more often. Spoiler alert, it didn't work for you, did it, New England? Anyway, they choose that, so the other team go, okay, we'll swap sides then, because that's what you do. If the other team who win the contest go, like, choose the thing that you don't want to happen, you're just, to cause problems, you're going to be like, right, let's swap ends. And it is annoying. I remember, it's happening loads of times when I used to play hockey. Yeah, we'll swap ends, especially if you're the away team and you travel to their ground and they win the toss and they go, oh, we'll have kick-off, please. We'll go back, we'll swap ends then. This is where you play every week. You're used to starting from one end. Nah, we'll just swap it just because we're being awkward now because we wanted kick-off. Anyway, they do kick-off. They go through all that stuff. By the time the game starts, I didn't even check, but I'm guessing it was about 10 minutes later, so 11:30 starting way afterwards. Game kicks off. American football, we all know it's a lot of breakdown, stop-start. I don't mind it too much, to be completely honest with you. I don't mind the way that they do it. And I understand that when they do it, they can throw adverts in the middle. It gives the players time to recover and recuperate. But this is part of the reason why I don't kind of rate it on the same level as football, because Americans will always want to start this conversation of what's bigger, the Super Bowl or the World Cup? And again, it's such a ridiculous question because it's only their ego and their arrogance and their ignorance which should even make them think that the Super Bowl is anywhere near the size of the World Cup. When the World Cup usually has 32 teams in it, this year it's going up to 48 teams? You've got 48 countries sitting watching this tournament. Meanwhile, you've just got your own one. By the way, your country's one of them who's going to be watching, and it's going to be in your country. You'll see what it's like. Oh, anyway, you've got people sat at home watching this American football. It's just one country. Obviously, I was watching it in the UK. There would have been loads of people watching the UK, but not the same level as the World Cup, which is a world achievement, and it's only once every 4 years. So if you win a World Cup, it's the equivalent to winning 4 Super Bowls. It is. It just is. So, right. They got the stop-start thing, but I don't mind it. But this is why I don't rate it as much as football. I'm catching up with my own train of thought. It's because football, if you go all-out attack, you can easily get countered and concede a goal. So, like, attack is not the best form of defence in football because the more attacking that you are, the more you're open going back. Like, Arsenal are going through this season because every team plays against them with a very low defensive line. So in the Premier League, they don't score as many goals. Whereas in Europe, the Champions League, they're playing against a better quality of opposition who don't dare sit back because this is the big game that their fans have waited for all week. They're supposed to be big dogs as well. They go out and attack Arsenal. Arsenal go and knock 20-odd goals in 8 games and just absolutely obliterate all these teams. Anyway, back to the Super Bowl. So you have all these breaks. I don't mind it. Carry on. Have a bit of this. And again, you get to see a little bit of analysis now from the studio going, oh yeah, on this play, this happened. You can tell though that the people on the broadcast aren't the pinnacle of like breaking down the sport in terms of analysis and talking through you like through the little nitty gritty and all that kind of stuff. Because let's be honest, it's British TV. All the top ones are going to go to American TV because they want to be on that main broadcast. We go through the game. First quarter ends. Okay, now we do the second quarter. Boom, play a bit of that. Nice, I'm enjoying it. It gets to half time. The Seahawks are up about 9-0, I think it is. And I think they scored a touchdown all the way through. I think it's like 3 kicks, which I don't mind the kicks. Good, enjoy it. Actually make it football, where you put your foot on the ball, even though it's, not a ball, it's an egg. Anyway, they do 3 of them. Boom, boom, boom. 3 points apiece. 9-0 up at half-time. Half-time comes, and now we've got what the Super Bowl is most known for. I think this is something that Americans don't realise as well. That we in the United Kingdom, I don't think even a tenth of the people could tell you who won the Super Bowl in the UK. However, of the amount of people who could tell you who did the halftime show. And we're not a Spanish-speaking country. We don't have as many Spanish-speaking citizens as America's got. So Bad Bunny is nowhere near the level of a star that he is in America, in the UK. Yet, 10 times the population of us will know that Bad Bunny was the halftime show, then they would know the winner of the Super Bowl. And that goes to show you the ridiculousness of this sport, is that you're trying to call yourselves the world champions, but literally people around the world know more about the person singing at halftime than who wins the actual game, which is a problem for you guys. It's a massive problem for you guys. If you want this to catch on through the world, you need bigger stars. You need bigger crossover stars. You've got Taylor Swift's boyfriend. He's a big star, isn't he? Travis Kelce's brother was a big star too, because he's the brother of the guy dating Taylor Swift. Beyond that, who's the next most famous American footballer of all time? O.J. Simpson? That's not a good thing, is it? You don't want O.J. Simpson to be your second biggest star of all time. He probably is the biggest star, actually, when I think about it. If you ask people in the UK, like, do you know who O.J. Simpson is? They go, oh, yeah. And they can tell you at least something about him. When you go, who's Tom Brady? They'll be like, I don't know. Does he do hair? I don't know. So, halftime comes, right, and there's a big debate in the United States about this, because Bad Bunny, he says stuff like anti-current government regime, and he speaks out and all this kind of stuff. So, there's one side of people who don't like him, right? And that's because this is why I stay out of politics in general, is because politics becomes a divisional thing. It's either you're on one side or the other. And people can't just go on a case-by-case basis and look at the facts and go, okay, this is what I think in this thing, and this is what I think about this topic, and this is what I think about this item. They just go, no, what does my side think? Okay, that's what I'm going with, and I'm going to go with that. And Bad Bunny, because he speaks out about the current team who's in power, half of them go, no, we don't like him. So, Charlie Kirk's old group, Turning Point USA, decided they were going to do an alternative halftime show. Now, this is so, again, I told you all the people who could name Bad Bunny as opposed to the Seattle Seahawks. I bet if you ask who did the alternate halftime show, most people will be like, I didn't even know there was one. Because it's just, again, it's not important. It's not a big thing. But they tried to do it as a gimmick because they go, okay, we're anti-Bad Bunny. We don't like his values. Well, actually, they try and paint it the way. They try and say he's anti-our values. So what we're going to do our own halftime show. And they did it with Kid Rock. Now, listen, I grew up years and years ago. Kid Rock was more of a star in those days. And I'll be honest with you, I used to not mind his tracks. Some of them, I didn't know a lot of them. I'm not a big Kid Rock fan. I can't pretend that I was, but I did like some of them. I did, hey. You know how that one goes. I think it might have been Undertaker's theme song for a bit. Didn't mind it. Massive wrestling fan growing up. Didn't mind it. However, this whole narrative of like, oh, let's put Kid Rock over here because he's real Americana, even though Bad Bunny's American, but he comes from Puerto Rico, which is... They don't count as America, even though they want to keep it as American. And this is the problem with Greenland as well. They're talking about Greenland, but they don't even treat Puerto Ricans as proper Americans. They go, no, like Puerto Rican, he speaks Espanol, so he can't be one of us. And they were complaining about the fact that all of his songs were in Spanish. Listen, I get it. You want to understand what he's saying. I want to understand what he's saying, but that's not what he sings in. And he's the biggest music star in the world if you look at Spotify streaming numbers, and if you use that as the metric to dictate it, and the fact that Spotify is in so many countries, so globally, not just in America, guys. You can't just call yourself the biggest in the world if it's just in America. Bear that in mind for the Super Bowl. He's the biggest globally, so you look and go, right, what can help put this brand on a bigger level? And that's what they do. They use Bad Bunny's name to try and get it on more things. I've seen all these breakdowns online where they talk about, oh, he wore a 76 shirt and he did this and he did that. Listen, I don't know about any of that stuff. I'm not ingrained in the Puerto Rican culture. I don't know much about that. The inner breakdowns of all the political stuff going on. I just know the basics of it. Either way, I watched the first couple of minutes of it and then I went to bed, because I'm not sitting through half an hour of a concert halfway through a sporting event. I want to go and see that sporting event. I want to sit there and watch the NFL. I don't want to see a concert. And I don't mind if it's starting at 11:30, which it should have started at 11:30. If you want to put him on at 10:30 and give him half an hour on the pitch, clear it. Like that's what they do at the World Cup. They do an opening ceremony, then they do the first game. They do it at the Olympics, and then they do the first whatever. I don't even know what they do. I never really watched one. I know there was a big one in 2012 when it was in the UK, but I was at a hockey tournament, funny enough. I used to play hockey, don't you know? Talk about it a lot. So what if they were to do that? Yeah, I'd be into it, and I might tune in earlier because it's such a big thing. But because it's at half time, I'm just a bit like, oh, I'm not really that bothered, to be honest. But hey ho, it is what it is. And the whole breakdown, like I said, the whole narrative of like, oh, let's try and get people to turn over. And apparently a few million did watch the Turning Point USA thing. I don't know the actual numbers, and maybe it was a couple 100,000. But either way, the fact that they were to draw enough people around to gather big numbers, I guess it speaks to people's. Again, just to be fair, it speaks to people's frustrations. They maybe don't see themselves as represented in Bad Bunny. They maybe see Bad Bunny in their eyes represents something that's against their values, and they see Turning Point USA maybe as the thing that represents their values. And if that's how they see it, that's how they see it. Again, it's not my job to judge. It's my job to take the mick out of everyone. So, yeah. Anyway, that was the Super Bowl. Seattle Seahawks went on to win, and the New England Patriots. Oh, the New England Patriots didn't win. They messed it up. They should have had kickoff. Maybe should have given it a bash from there. But then I think they would have gone, no, we shouldn't have done it. Either way, that's not even the biggest sporting game of the week. The biggest sporting game of the week is going to be this Sunday when Pakistan are about to play India in the cricket. Now I mentioned this the other day, so I'm going to briefly mention it. Pakistan pulled out of this game because basically Bangladesh didn't want to play in India, so the competition organisers kicked Bangladesh out, brought Scotland in, and now Bangladesh have come to some agreement with the cricket organisers. So now they've asked Pakistan, listen, do us a favour, we're trying to smooth everything over, they're going to give us this competition, can you just play that game? And Pakistan are going, do you know what? You guys want us to play, we'll do it, we're going to play. So Sunday is going to be Pakistan versus India. More people will watch that than watch the Super Bowl. It's going to be the biggest game. I'm going to watch it, and I'll be honest with you, India are probably going to win. They're probably going to win. I can't stop it from happening. I'm no good at cricket. You know what? I used to be quite good when I was a kid at cricket, but I was a lazy kid. I didn't get into playing it, and this is one thing you'll know about me, and I'll probably talk about a lot, is I was a lazy and undisciplined kid, so even though there's a cricket club like near our house, and I'm talking like maybe 5 to 10 minute walk, not even 10, like less than that. I went to training once, but because it was structured training, it wasn't just like go and play cricket, which that's what I wanted to do, because I was a good bowler. Put me in a bowl, I'm going to get like 8 kids out. Give me like 5 overs, I'll get 8 of them kids out, no problem. No problem whatsoever. But that's not what it was. It was like learning how to do this and learning how to do that. And I was like, I don't want to learn how to do that. And like running drills, I think we did. I didn't want to do any of that. I just wanted to play cricket, play a game, put us versus them, let us play, pick the best players to be in the team. That's what I thought it was going to be. It wasn't, so I never went back. Maybe I went back a second time, maybe 2, 3 times. But either way, I didn't go much. I didn't go much at all. And I do regret it because it is something that I did have a talent for. My dad was quite a good amateur cricket player from all regards. We grew up in like all the trophies were at my cousin's house, because this was like before I was born, and my cousin's like 14, 15 years older, no, 11 years older than me, and all the trophies would be at his house, because obviously like my dad just let him have him basically as a kid, and he loved having uncles like cricket trophies and stuff like that. And then at some point they threw them all out. And I was like, I remember going once and going, is my dad's trophy still there? And he went, no, we threw him out a couple of years ago. And I was like, bro, why didn't you just pick up the phone and tell me, listen, we need a bit of space. You don't happen to want your dad's cricket trophies, do you? And I'd be like, absolutely, I want my dad's cricket trophies. 100% did I want them trophies. Now they're in a landfill somewhere. Anyway, it is what it is. Like, I should have, like I say, I should have pushed on as a kid, and I should have tried to play as a kid. And then I remember going to Pakistan when I was about 13. Now, bear in mind, the last time I would have gone training would have been about when I was like 9, 10 to 11, like in around that age range there, primary school age. And like I say, I was better than all, like, not all of the other kids, don't get me wrong. Like, if I would have played against more and more kids, I would have come up against other good kids, and that would have been really good for me now to develop and see what level I could have got to. You know, whether it's just, you know, playing like for your local team, or, you know, maybe playing for one of the better teams in your local league, or, you know, you got, you know, wherever you can go from there. I don't know. I'll never know, right? But where am I going with this story? I don't remember. Where was I going with that story? I've completely gone off track there. I have completely gone. Oh, that's it. Yeah, I was about 13, 14. Yeah, I was just about to turn 14. I remember it was 2002, and I went to Pakistan, and I played cricket with some of the older lads who were probably about 3, 4, 5 years older than me, and they let me. I went down just to watch, and because they were playing cricket, and I didn't know how organised it was. Obviously, I'm not fluent in the language, so I'm just going like watching and like going fielding the ball here and there when it goes behind the wicket keeper, and then they asked me like, "Do you want to bat?" And I'm like, "Yeah, damn right, I want to bat." And I'm thinking, you boys are gonna see something now. You boy, because bear in mind, last time I played cricket now that I can think of, especially at bat, I remember playing on my schoolyard and like smacking the tennis ball over for six, so it flew out of the playground and out of the thing, and that was it, game over, because the ball was gone and we had to tell the teacher and she had to go and try and find it. And I think by the time they found it, I'd gone and played with my other mates, probably Carl and Michael down the other end. Michael probably had no interest in cricket. Carl would have played a bit actually. And I probably would have gone off playing with them. But I remember smacking that ball over for six, and that would have been the last time I played. So in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, you wait till you see me, yeah. You're not going to understand the level that I am. And I'm telling you now, the speed that they bowled that ball, that made me never play cricket. I've never batted ever again. I have never batted in terms of any kind of semi-seriousness ever again since that day. It was just the speed these Pakistani teenagers were bowling at me. I was like, wow, these boys are the real deal. And even they weren't at like proper official teams. They were just village kids bowling. And it really made me realise like, wow, there's a difference. Obviously, they were a bit older than me. And again, the last time someone would have bowled at me properly would have been when I was about 10, 11. Now I'm getting bowled at by like a 16-year-old. So that difference in those few years made me realise, going, yeah, Adam, you're not all we thought you were, mate. You're not just a naturally blessed best cricket player of all time. Don't you worry about it. You just put that, you give them the bat back. I remember swinging at one and swinging at two, and then they bowled it a bit slower, and then I gave it a bit of a scuff shot or whatever. Like, I didn't get me out. That was my big thing. I hope they don't get me out. But honestly, the way they were whiffing that ball, like it was fast, man. It was fast. Like you couldn't see it. Like couldn't see it going. It's probably a tape ball. Now I can't remember specifically, but that's village ball in it. That's how they play cricket. And then I think the only other time I can remember playing any other kind of cricket was I remember going to my dad's work one day, and outside they had a bit of a cricket thing, and one of his mates was there outside. And he was like, "Oh, your dad will be back in a minute." So I'm like, "Oh yeah, sound." He's like, "Fancy playing a bit?" And I was like, "All right." He's like, "Bowl at me," and I'm bowling wild. It's just way wide, and I'm just going way too. He's like, "Adam, slow down. Just do the technique right." So then I slow down. I do the technique right. Boom! I'm bouncing it. Couple feet out from him. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm getting this now. I'm picking it up. And then I remember by this time I'm like probably a late teenager, and I'm thinking, oh, I wish I would have kept up with this. I should have gone back that day. That day I should have gone, do you know what? Let me find my local cricket club. Let me try and play just at that local level. And I would have loved that. I would have loved it. But again, lazy kid carried on. I was playing hockey by that time anyway. I used to play hockey, don't you know? That's for you, James. Hope your back's better. So yeah. I remember playing it there, and then I remember my mate at Hampshire's wedding. He had a little cricket set. They start to do it now, like weddings, don't they? Where they'll put like like a little garden set out, and maybe like beanbag toss or whatever. Did someone else have it at their wedding as well? Did BP have it at his wedding? I can't remember, but I remember definitely at Hampshire's wedding they had it, because his brother. I remember his brother, silly guy. He was bowling left, right, and centre, and he ended up bowling the ball into the stream. But I remember having a lot of fun bowling at that wedding, because again, I'm just playing now against people. At this point, I'm in my late 20s probably, and I'm bowling against other people in the late 20s, and Rowan, his brother, who don't even know how to hold the bat properly, never mind anything else. So I'm having a lot of fun bowling there. But yeah, it's all good and well bowling when, yeah, I'm inexperienced, but I'm bowling against people who don't know what they're doing, compared to those street kids in Pakistan. They probably still work me right now. I bet next time I go back to Pakistan, I bet if I go and find like a village game, like in the village, like I bet they just work me, like, and they just boom, they'd be too fast for me probably. Then again, I'm an adult now, might be able to get on the end a bit better and just clear one to the boundary almost. That would be nice. But that's me and my cricket life. What could have been? I always think what could have been, and you know, it's nice to think that and be like, I wonder if I could have made anything of myself. I don't think I mean, don't get me wrong, I've never had the body of a professional athlete and I've never had the fitness levels of a professional athlete. So I don't think, then again, cricket, there's a little bit less athleticism when it comes to like running the wickets and stuff like that. I probably would have been able to, you know, do it in those shorter spurts, but hey-ho, that's me, I suppose. Joe, I did love though. Let's round it on to some other topics. As a kid, Brian Lara cricket on the PlayStation. I loved my PlayStation 1. I loved playing that, and I loved playing sports games on it. So I had Brian Lara cricket. I remember playing it like so much as kids. My mates used to. I remember Gaz liked it, Alan liked it, all picking different international teams. And I think there might have been like 10, 12 international teams on it. Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, England. Yeah, I used to love playing that. I used to love playing my little PlayStation, and like I've been getting back into PlayStation. You know, I bought the new FIFA, EA 26 it's called now, and I bought the new FIFA. And I've not played it in ages. And whenever like anybody tells me about like their kids playing PlayStation and like, oh, he's just shouting at his headset all the time, I'm like, oh, silly little kids, you won't catch me doing that. If I was to tell you how fuming I've been at this FIFA game, honestly, as a grown man, I've been shouting at that TV. Listen, I need to tell you guys, I've been shouting at that TV too much. Too much for an adult. Honestly, like, I need to rein it in a little bit. I need to relax. It's supposed to be for relaxing. That's why I bought it, to enjoy myself. When I'm sat chilling, give myself something to do, maybe whack on a podcast, play a bit of FIFA. I don't need to be shouting at the TV, raising my blood pressure. I'm getting towards middle age now. I can't be doing it. And yeah, it's not good. But the thing is, the connection you get to when, like, I was thinking about buying it, and you look back at when you were a kid and that nostalgic feeling of having those games. I remember the first games console I had was a Game Boy, the big chunky Game Boy, and I had that with Tetris and like Super Mario World 3 or Wario World 3 or something. One of those games. Maybe Super Mario 2 and Super Wario, whatever. I don't know what it was called. And Tetris, boy, an easy, simple game. The hours of fun that I had on that, like you're turning that L shape around like that. You're trying to get it to fit somewhere, and you clonk it, and there's a bit of a gap like that. And you're like, no. Yeah, I used to love playing Tetris, man, on the Game Boy. Can you imagine now, kids? Like, kids have got so much now. I was talking to my mate Chris today about how, like, his kids got, like, whatever these gaming consoles are now and whatever. And, like, the kids still get bored. Kids still get bored with all this stuff and all the TV and all the YouTubes and the Spotifys and the movies and, like, going to the cinema or bowling or whatever you can do. And he does all this stuff with his kid, but kids still get bored. Like, but when I was a kid, like with that Game Boy, like like the blockers are like honestly, like I used to love playing the Game Boy. And then I remember my cousin, the one from Manchester I mentioned before, he had a Spider-Man game where like you got to like swing through the thing. And honestly, I've never seen technology like this. When I was a kid and I saw that game where he's like swinging through the air, like, and he's swinging like through the city and like he's climbing the walls and like the barrels are falling down at him. He's like, oh, you got to dash out of the way and stuff like that. Hours of fun. Meanwhile, upstairs I've got like, I had Spider-Man on the PS4 that my mate Sam, I've not seen in a long time, he was going to give it to, like, he just bought it. It was like quite a new game, and then he completed it. He was going to sell it to CEX, and he went, why don't you play it? And I go, well, how much do you want for it? He went, well, CEX will give me like, I think 22 quid. You give me 20 quid, you can have it. I was like, yeah, bang on. So boom, there's your 20 quid. He lost 2 quid, he didn't have to go to CEX. I got it. Then he got that fun of asking me, like, where are you up to, Spider-Man, where are you up to? And I enjoyed it, flying through the city and doing all this stuff, but when I was a kid, getting all that hours of game time out of just playing that Game Boy. And the thing is, it didn't save either, so you had to just keep playing from beginning over and over again. That used to do my chestnut in, I'm telling you now, like starting from scratch on that Spider-Man game. But I loved it at the same time. And my parents bought me King of the Ring on the Game Boy, which is a wrestling game for anyone wondering. Yokozuna, Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart on it. Lex Luger, the narcissist. And I remember playing that game over and over again, and I could never beat the game. However, when I faced Yokozuna, I realised that if I ran away from him outside and made him chase me all the way through the ring, every now and then I would win by count out. And that's the only way I could beat the game on that game. I was rubbish at it, honestly. I was so bad. But still, I got hours of play out of that game. That just two-dimensional, like. And then Pokemon came around. Oh my goodness me, when Pokemon came around on the Game Boy, it changed everything. It was like what I can imagine colour TV being like when colour TV came out. Because when Pokemon came out on the Game Boy, it was just so different from everything else. It was so weird, and I didn't understand why I would want to start this game with these three weird animals who've got weird names like Charmander and Bulbasaur and Squirtle. What a weird kind of name is Squirtle. What am I supposed to do with these? And then you start playing it, and then you start getting into it, and then you start talking to your mates about it, and you're seeing where they're up to on the game, and you're like, whoa, how have you got a level 51 Venusaur? What's going on here? And he's telling you about it, and he's talking about Missing No and all this stuff. Man, Pokemon, when that came out, it was so groundbreaking, and it literally changed your life. If you're a kid my age, like, again, kids these days, they don't understand what it was like when Pokemon Red and Blue came out. Obviously, it was green in Japan. When those games came out in the UK, and it was a boy-girl game. Didn't matter if you're a boy or a girl, you could sit, you can play it, you could have a good time playing it. And I love that game on the Game Boy. Anyway, that was Game Boy. After a couple of years of having the Game Boy, before Pokemon came out, by the way, my brother made a deal with my mum. And the deal was this: that if she bought him a computer that he can play on, that he would let me have his Super Nintendo. And oh my days, going from Game Boy to Super Nintendo, that was mind-altering. That was like you giving me hallucinogenics, ayahuasca, whatever all that stuff's called. I'm a Muslim, I don't know. Either way, getting those games, and I remember when he had it, he had Kickoff 3, which my brother's not a big fan of football, so don't know why he had Kickoff 3. That was my favourite. I used to play Kickoff 3, this football game, over and over again. It's one of those games where they didn't have the licenses, so they had to give all the players fake names. So Dennis Irwin, who played for Man United, I remember he was Irwine with an E on the end. I don't remember anyone else's name, but I remember Jean-Pierre Papin, who was not Paris. Did he play for PSG? Probably. But he was France's striker on the game. And I used to play so many games as France manager. I used to love that so much. He had Legend of Zelda on there. I think it was called that, with the gold box. And I had the box, and I had the game and the instruction manual and all that stuff. And a lad in the year above me, Liam, who was my mate Gary's mate. So Gary's one of my best mates. Liam's one of his best mates from school. He offered me a trade for a game called FIFA. This was before FIFA had numbers after it. It was just FIFA. It was the first one they were testing the water. And now, if I was to have FIFA on the Super Nintendo, it's probably worth about £5. If I was to have Zelda, it's probably worth like over a £1 with everything in it, like the booklet and the full box and the cartridge and all that stuff. I cannot believe I traded away Legend of Zelda all those years ago for FIFA. What a mistake. But I got hours of fun out of it. But these are the mistakes you make as a kid. You make poor financial choices, like Pokemon cards again. Let's link back to Pokemon. Everyone thinks, oh my God, I had all these Pokemon cards. I'd be worth a fortune now. I could buy myself a mansion. No. You played with your cards. You scuffed them all up. They ain't worth nothing, mate. They're worth maybe 50 quid or something like that. About probably more than what you paid back in the day, but not too much more. People think though, oh, I kept mine in mint condition. Mine were exceedingly good, like Buddy Mr. Kipling's cakes. Mine were excellent. No, mate, your cars wouldn't be worth nothing. But this game, it was in good condition because my brother took good care of it. I traded it away. I traded it away. But like I say, I got so many hours of fun out of my FIFA. And like people got out with the Pokemon cards, that's what life's about. Life's not about getting stuff as a kid, not playing with it, and then like selling it 20, 30 years later and making profit off it. That's how an adult thinks because we've lost all sense of joy and we've lost all of our fun and we just want a bit of cash in our pockets. But kids, you just want to play and have a good time. You just want to enjoy yourself. You want to do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that was that. And then PlayStation 1 came out in I think 96, 97. I think I got that for my 10th birthday in 1998. And my parents paid 200 quid. Well, it worked out being 210 because you bought the console itself, 2 controllers, 1 memory card, and 4 games. And then we paid an extra tenner for an extra game. We got Crash Bandicoot. We got Buster Move 2. I can't remember what the other games were, but I remember that extra game that we got for a tenner was like called Olympic Soccer or something like that. One of those other games where they didn't have the official names. I got hours of fun out of it, but it was a pretty bog standard rough game. That, and no wonder they're giving it away for a tenner. I think I might have even got Formula 1 in that first batch of games. I remember my sister, I think she scratched that up big time. I'm pretty sure she scratched it up really, really bad, that. And I think she did it as like a... Well, she probably just... Like, I used to break stuff all the time as a kid, just experimenting. But maybe she was upset with me one day she did that. I don't know. I think I blamed her for it and she said she didn't do it. So maybe whether she did it or not, I don't actually know for a fact. But yeah, I remember having those games. Crash Bandicoot, what a game. One of the upsetting things is that, like, all those games, when I found places like Cash Generator and stuff like that, I ended up trading them all in. I remember trading in my Super Nintendo with all the games that I had left. I remember trading in like all these PlayStation games and then getting like probably about 65 quid or whatever, then putting that with money that my grandma gave me, and I buying Nike Shox. Like, yeah, I loved me Nike Shox, and to be fair, yeah, I got a good amount of fun out of me Nike Shox, and as much as I look back, and see, that's me adult brain, that's me adult brain going, I shouldn't have given that away, that would have been worth money now. But no, I got wear out of those Nike Shox. My parents couldn't afford to buy me the latest trainers. To be fair, my dad would have bought me anything that I would have wanted, but it would have put him at a financial difficulty, right? And in those days, if I would have asked for all the clothes that I would have wanted, even just one time for a set of everything, tracky bottoms, hoodie, shocks, you're probably setting him back a week's full wages, never mind paying for everyone's food and all the bills and the petrol in his car and all that kind of stuff. So, council tax. So I never used to ask for much, only on Eid every year. I didn't even really ask. Mum would just take me to JJB Sports in Bolton and she'd buy me new t-shirt, which would be Arsenal football shirt, new hoodie, tracky bottoms and a pair of trainers. Now, I didn't know nothing about trainers for the most part. So I remember buying all kinds of ugly trainers through the years, some like Lecoq Sporty, some like Reebok running shoes and all this kind of thing. And then, when the Nike Shox came out, they were big time those. I'm getting into my teenage years now. I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit, and I know that the bigger boys have got them, and I want them because they look cool. I remember buying them. I bought a pair of like all black ones. And to be fair, they might have been knockoff. It was a guy in how do I say this? And I don't want to accuse anyone publicly, so I won't say where I got them from. But it was from... No, I'm not going to say. You can ask me in person, I might tell you. But yeah, so I bought it back in those days from this guy. They might have been knockoffs, and I paid like... Let's say they were like a one brand new or 120 brand new. I paid like a one or 80. Or, you know, I paid just less anyway than whatever retail price was for them. They were comfy, so they did the job. So like, maybe they were real, maybe they're not, I don't know. But either way... I was buzzing with my Nike Shox. I was buzzing with my Nike Shox, those black ones. And I used to wear them all over the place. I remember wearing them like, I would wear them in PE and stuff like that. And I remember my history teacher being like, "Oh, those are lovely trainers. Maybe you shouldn't maybe you shouldn't wear those for PE. And I'd be like, no, I'm wearing them for PE. But really, in my mind, I didn't have any other trainers. Those were the only pair of trainers that I had. Like, I couldn't just bring in other trainers. I didn't have 2 pairs of shoes. I had 1 pair of trainers, and they cost me 100 quid or 80 quid or whatever it was that I paid for them. And that's all I had. That's all the money that I had. And I spent it on this 1 pair of trainers. And this is what I don't get about like kids thieving and stuff like that. Is I don't get me wrong, I was tempted to do that kind of thing, and maybe I did try once or twice, but yeah, it's good to teach kids not to do that because it's only a pair of trainers at the end of the day, and I managed to get them that way. But yeah, Nike Shox, what a trip down memory lane. And they're back now, and I see them, and me and my mates talk about them. TNs are back as well. Remember TNs came out after Nike Shox, and I was like, nah, I'm not getting into TNs because they were expensive again. I couldn't afford to just get them. Like, I had many pairs of Nike Shox, and I was going to wear them until I wore them gone. Like, properly just boom, 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 done. And I'm pretty sure I had them. My second pair of Shox, which I got on discount, they were like a blue, kind of like a dully, like kind of as a Cadbury's Roses tin. So that kind of blue. And then, not metallic. And then, I think I wore them at uni when I started playing hockey to the point where I just damaged them properly by that point. I think I threw them on top of a bus stop. Because I remember walking back from hockey one day being like, I'm just going to get rid of these. And throwing them on top of a bus stop. Because back in those days, kids' shoes used to always end up on like the phone wires. Do they do that anymore? Because that's a real throwback, that. They'd nick some trainers off some poor kid. They'd tie the laces together and they'd throw them up on top of the telephone wire. They'd swing over them, they'd hang off the telephone wire. So I thought, okay, I'm going to leave my shoes there. I want my shoes up there. I want someone to do that. I'd come back 3 days later, my shoes are there hanging up in Ormskirk on the old wire. So kids don't disappoint, do they? The little so-and-sos, eh? I was gigging again this week. More gigs. Give me all your gigs. If you're watching this and you got gigs to give me all your gigs. If you're local to Bolton, especially, if you're in the Northwest, if you're in the Midlands, give me your gigs. I'm here for your gigs. I'm here to perform, and I promise you, I will try my very, very best. You know, whether it goes well or not, that kind of depends on the day, depends on the audience, depends on how they're feeling. I'll be honest with you, I don't want to be too honest with you. I want to knock on wood. So far this year, things have been going well, alhamdulillah. But, you know, I can't control these things all the time. But what I can control is my effort levels. Book me, guys. Book me. So this week, I went and did a new material gig in Altrincham. Be Funny Comedy, run by Charlie Lewis. Now, this was very enjoyable. I very much enjoyed it. I like Charlie. He's a nice lad. We get along and went there. I had a bit of a catch-up with him. I was supposed to open the show. Now, I was a little bit apprehensive because this is a new material night. I didn't have too much new material that I wanted to try. So, beforehand, I went through my notes and I went through the most recent stuff that I tried. And I found 2 jokes that I really wanted to try that night. One that I'd done about 3 or 4 times, and one joke that I wrote about 3 months ago that I had never done. So I thought, okay, I want to mix this up. I don't want it to feel like I'm just doing the hits and playing like my best. I didn't want to go there and do my best 10 minutes of stand-up. I didn't want to do that because that's not what it's for, right? So I was a bit apprehensive. I didn't know what I would do. I was a bit like, well, should I do this? What should I do? I'm going to start with this one joke. I'm going to do these 2 new jokes. What happens in the rest of the set, I don't know. I'm going to leave it up to chance. So when I get there, the lineup is mega. The lineup is really, really good. He'd already put together a decent lineup, to be fair. I was opening, Harry Stachini's closing. Listen, full shout out to Harry Stachini. I first met Harry when I was about 6 months into stand-up. And I was like, oh, this guy's pretty good. He was pretty good. Like, he weren't great, but he was pretty good. He was maybe at the time, I don't know, 4 years into stand-up, something like that. Anyway, now, I've not seen him live for a while. However, I've seen his clips online and I watched them and I'm like, Harry is so good now. Harry has done very, very well for himself. And listen, I've got nothing to gain from telling you guys this. It's just he's come up now in this and I want to say it because it's the truth, right? I've got nothing to gain. I've only got things to gain about telling you that I'm great. And then I won't even promise that. Give me a chance though. You'll see what you get. Right? Harry is very good. So I'm not Harry, so I can say it. I can big him up all that I want. He's really, really good. So he was going to close the show. I was going to open the show. And then in the middle, it was a little bit here and there. Then I see that Sean Davis is on the lineup. Now, Sean Davis is very good. Sean Davis was on my 5th ever gig, which was at the Frog and Bucket, which was the World Series semi-final. And I did not have a good gig that night. I just started, didn't really know what I was doing, was a little bit apprehensive, didn't quite understand the full dynamics of comedy, wasn't completely as I am now, where I know a lot more what I'm doing on stage. I was rough and raw. I went up there, didn't do very well. Shan went up there, she won. She qualified and went into the final. So that's the first time I saw Shan, saw her, and I thought, Shan, decent. So, Shan also runs, not circuit breakers, Best in Class, which is like a thing where they pay people, working class people, to go to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and do like 2 weeks. I think they do 2 weeks each, and they pick like 8 people to go there and go and do like paid shows basically. They get the accommodation paid for, and they get like industry people coming to their gigs and stuff like that, so they get maybe exposed to other things. Really good thing that she does, gives opportunities to people. Now, I've applied for it a couple of times. I got an email once back that said like, oh, listen, you were close, but unfortunately you didn't make it. Other times I think I got more generic email, But this year I didn't go for it, and I looked at the lineup this year, and a few of my friends made it, so shout out Johnny Brook, shout out Tabish. You guys, I hope you have a fantastic time this year in Edinburgh. If I'm down in Edinburgh while you're down in Edinburgh, I'll give you a shout. Much love to my friends who get good things. So, anyway, Sean was on that. Sean was on the lineup too. And then I find out that following me, second on the lineup is going to be Alan Cochrane. Now, Alan Cochrane is always following me, because when we're on gigs together, typically I'm in the middle and he's closing. Sometimes I'm opening and he's closing, but either way, I never have to follow Alan because he's usually closing the show, right? So he was going to follow me again, and he was going with all new material. And when I saw that he was there, I was already thinking, like, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. And obviously going first is harder anyway, going second is easier. So because I wasn't sure, I said to Charlie, I said, if Alan wants to go first, he can go first. I don't mind, because I get it, especially when you're a pro, you're turning up to work, the quicker your shift is over, the quicker you can get home. Whereas I was getting the tram back anyway, so it wasn't really going to make too much difference to me, time-wise. So I said that, and Charlie said, no, I've spoken to him already, he's fine with going second. Anyway, when he gets there, I think Charlie asked him again, oh, just so you know, Adam said, if you want, you can swap with him. And he went, oh, yeah, I'd love that, actually. If Adam's willing to swap, I'll swap with him. And I was like, buzzing, I'll do that. I'll follow Alan for a change. I get to watch him first, and then I get to go on. So I watched him do his stuff. One key thing happened when I'm watching Alan on stage. When I'm watching Alan on stage, I'm looking from this angle. Alan's there. Over here is the world map. And that got me thinking, ooh. When I'm on stage, I could use the map as a way to introduce each joke, and I can do loads of jokes that I don't usually do on stage. So although I'm not doing new material, I'm not doing my best 10, I'm getting to practice stuff that I don't usually get to do on stage. I thought, all right, this works for me. So I watched Alan, his stuff was nice, his stuff was good and nice. That's for all you Dr. Pepper fans out there. And then I got to go on, and then boom, I went on, started with my standard opening joke. I always start with the same joke. Spoiler alert, guys, I hope none of you like think, oh my goodness, he's ruining the magic here. But I like to start with the same joke every time. Sets me off on a good note, and I can just go into it from there. Second joke was a brand new joke. Third joke was another one of the new jokes. I threw in another one from my regular 10. So out of my full 10 minutes, I did 2 of the jokes. 2 new ones. The rest of it, I'm pointing at the board going, oh, look, world map over here. Well, look, we've got Spain over here. Let me talk about Spain. And I'll do this. Oh, we've got Japan over here. My brother lives in Japan. Let me tell you about Japan. Oh, we got this over here. And I'm going through. America over here. Let me tell you about my friend Josh. I'm going through all these things. I'm going through all these things that I don't get to do that often. Now it was so much fun because again, I had no idea what I was going to do. There in the moment, the fact that Alan went first, I went second, really opened it up for me. In the break, I had a bit of a chat with Henry, who was there. Henry Michael was there. I had a bit of a chat with him. Then I bounced off and got me tram and came home. Nice and simple. That was that gig. What's coming up though, Adam? Where will you be? Where are you going to be this week? Surely you're going to have loads of gigs. Well, I've got one gig this week and it is, I think it's called Yeaston Seedley or Weaston Yeedley or something like that. If you know, right, Salford area, Weast and Seedley is what I'm going to go with. Weast and Seedley Social Club. I'm going to go with that. It's in the Salford area. It's near me college, which I was near there the other day as well. And I've been pre-warned that it's going to be a bit of a rough and ready crowd. So be ready for it. And listen, I love those kind of crowds. That's me. That's a bit of me all over the place. Like I come from a rough council estate, and I don't think anyone who's from my estate would argue it's a bit of a rough council estate. If you heard my stories in the last few weeks, you know a few of the things that went on, right? So I love people like this because it's my people. It's the kind of people I go, if I can talk to those people, not a problem. I understand their problems because I lived their problems. I understand their likes, the things that, you know, they've got to deal with in life. So I understand how to connect with these people. Now, I'm setting it up for an absolute bomb here, but touch wood, it's going to go really, really well. And I'm going to really enjoy myself. But that is this weekend. That's for Louis Morrison. And I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm opening the show, so again, should be a nice, easy one. Get over there, get on, come back, enjoy myself. Get a pizza when I get back into Bolton, probably. Oh, wink. Get one from the, maybe a bit of pizza and chips. So, you know, enjoy myself a little bit, even though I did say recently I wanted to go for a run, and I've not been for a run since. I need to figure that out. But yeah, that's the gig I've got coming up this week, which I'm excited for. And I'm trying to get more and more gigs in my diary, and I've had some discussions that, you know, again, I can only be vague at the moment, but I'll be more open with in the coming weeks once I have stuff confirmed. But hopefully I'm going to have more gigs in the diary coming up for you soon where I can really start, you know, plugging them and doing that kind of... Because that's one of the things that I wanted to do as well. I wanted to make this for, like, anyone who's interested, really. If you're interested and you want to listen, absolutely, please be my guest. Come and listen to me blabber about the Superbowl and like me gigs and all that kind of stuff. I love it. I love talking. And if you're interested, come to me gigs and I'm gonna plug them away and stuff like that. But yeah, I think we'll call that a pod. It's been a successful episode 7. Yeah, as usual, you all know what to do. If you're enjoying it, tell a friend, that kind of thing. Bang it on the big telly. If you got it on your telly, your phone, your laptop, your iPad, whatever, chuck it on all of them. Give me four views. I don't care. Listen, I'm not fussy. The more views, the better. Tell the algorithm that you like this. The algorithm will tell other people you should like this, and that's how it builds, isn't it? But yeah, with that, I'm gonna leave you. Nice one, guys.